morning, students. Welcome to our lesson for today. In this lesson, we will draw and interpret pie charts. We will compare proportions in two pie charts that represent different totals. We will be using the keywords pie chart, sector, and portion. So how do we draw a pie chart? Let's take this example. In a survey, people were asked to indicate their favorite food. The information is given in the table. Display the information in a pie chart. To be able to draw a pie chart, we have to know the central angle. We have 5 different types of food, so we have 5 sectors. So we have to find the angle for each sector. To do that, find the total of all the frequencies. So 11 plus 8 plus 6 plus 9 plus 6 will be 40. 40 people participated in the survey. So this pie chart will represent 40 people. And we also know that the whole circle is a 360 degrees. So how many degrees is for each sector? So to get that, think of a number, multiply to the total to get 360. The other way to find that number is to divide 360 by the total 40. So 360 divided by 40 is 9. So 40 times 9 is 360. Multiply that to every number in your frequency. So for the 11 people who chose cereal, they will be represented by 11 times 9 or 99 degrees in the pie chart. The people who chose toast, they are 8 times 9, 72 degrees. Those who chose fruit, 6 people times 9, 54 degrees. And 9 times 9, 81, 6 times 9, 54. Now to draw the pie chart, start with one radius. Any radius will be good to go, okay? So draw one of the radius, and then from this radius, use your protractor to draw an angle. So when you're using your protractor, the center of the protractor should be on the center of the circle. And the inner scale here of the protractor, when we have the 0, must be on the line or on your radius. So we were using the inner scale of the protractor here. So from 0 to 99, measure that, it is, then draw the radius for 99 degrees. So the inner scale here is 0 to 99. And that is the cereal part. Okay. Now for the toast, you cannot start with that new radius that we have just drawn. So we have to draw using our protractor and measure from that new radius using again the inner scale, because the inner scale is where you have the 0. It should be from that line 0 to 72 degrees, and we have that sector for toast. And the next one, still using our protractor, using the inner scale starting with 0 on the line 0 to 54 degrees for the fruits, because the fruits is 54 degrees. And then for the next one, do the same way. So inner scale, because that is where your 0 is, put it on the line and draw 81 degrees for the cooked food. So that's 0 to 81 for cooked. And the remaining, you can measure this. This would be the other. This is 54 degrees. You can use your protractor to verify that. So this is the pie chart that represents the frequency table given in the problem. So that means in here, you see the biggest one is for the cereal, the 99 degrees. Now try this one on your notebook. Pause this video and come back when you are done to check your work. Let's check your work. So the table shows the number of goals scored by an ice hockey team. Display the information in a pie chart. So step 1, find a total, so that would be 24. And then think of a number, multiply the 24 to get 360, or divide 360 by 24, so that will give us 15. So multiply each and every number in the frequency by 15. So 3 times 15 is 45, 5 times 15 is 75, and you get the other angles. Then start with 1 radius. Then using your protractor, draw inner scale. Use the inner scale to mark 45 degrees, and that will be 0 goals. And then next, from that new radius, measure 75 degrees. That would be 1 goal. And then the next one, from the new radius, using the inner scale again, measure 105 degrees. That would be for 2 goals. And then for 3 goals, from the new radius, measure 75 degrees. That would be 3 goals. And for the remaining, that is actually 60 degrees for 4 or more goals. If you didn't get it right, you have to check your notebook, check your work, and make sure that it's correct, and then we go on. In some cases, the total frequency will not be a factor of 360 degrees. That means if you divide 360 by the total, you will get a decimal. Well, you can use that to multiply to each number, but if it is a repeating decimal or non-terminating decimal, you will have round-off errors. So what we do is to use the fraction. So how do we do the fraction? So same thing, we'll start the first step to get the total. So for this one, the total frequency is 80. Now, 360 degrees divided by 80 will not be a whole number. So what we do now is to get the portion of the people or of the frequency out of 80. So for vanilla, 14 people chose vanilla out of 80, so that is 14 over 80. You multiply that to 360 degrees, so 14 over 80 of 360 will give you 63 degrees. So that means the sector for the vanilla is 63 degrees. Same thing with mint. 9 people chose mint out of 80. So 9 divided by 80 times 360, that would be 40.5 degrees. For the chocolate, 21 people out of 80, so 21 over 80 times 360, that will give you 94.5 degrees. For the strawberry, 19 people out of 80 times 360 degrees, so that gives us 85.5 degrees. For the orange, 17 people out of 80 degrees, out of 80 times 360 degrees, that would give us 76.5 degrees. So this one now, we can now start the same process of drawing the sectors. Start with 1 radius, use your protractor, measure 63 degrees, that's for vanilla. And then use protractor again, inner circle from 0 to 40.5, that will be for mint. And same way, the next sector, 0 to 94.5, that's chocolate. And the next sector, 0 to 85.5, that's the strawberry. And the last one is orange, that is 76.5 degrees. Try this problem on your own, pause this video, and come back when you are done to check your work. Let's check your work. In a survey, people were asked to name their favorite make of TV. This is shown in the table. Display the information in a pie chart. So first step is to find the total, 300 people. So these 300 people will be represented by the full 360 degree circle. So now let's get the proportions. So out of 389, chose Samsung. Multiply that by the full 360 degrees and we get the central angle 106.8. So 56 out of 300 times 360, that gives us 67.2 degrees. Do the same for the next one and for the other sectors. We get each sector, the angles for each sector, and then we draw starting with one radius using a protractor, 106.8 degrees, that's for Samsung, and your protractor, that's 67.2 degrees for Sony, and this is 63.6 degrees for LG. This is 93.6 degrees for Panasonic, and the remaining part, Toshiba, is 28.8 degrees. Now we will use pie charts to answer some questions. That means we will interpret given pie charts. So we have here two pie charts for men and women. The pie chart shows the result of a survey about the type of chocolate preferred by men and women. 480 men took part in the survey. 600 women took part in the survey. So the first pie chart for men here represents 480 men, and the second one, women's favorite chocolate, 600 women. So how many men chose plain chocolate? So if we look at in here, plain chocolate is 90 degrees. That box in there represents a right angle, so that means 90 degrees. So we have here a total of 480 men. So the angle is 90 degrees. The portion of the pie chart will be 90 degrees out of the full 360 degrees. So if you divide it, you will get a decimal wherein you can turn it into percentage. So this one, 90 over 360, give us the proportion of men that chose plain. Okay, and the total of men is 480 degrees. So if the proportion is 90 over 360, just multiply that by 480 to get the total number of men. So 90 degrees over 360 times 480, 120 men chose plain chocolate. Okay, let's try the women. How many women chose plain chocolate? So if we look at the women, we have here 81 degrees. The central angle for plain chocolate in the women's pie chart is 81 degrees. So the angle, there are 600 women who took part in the survey. So for the angle of 81 degrees, the proportion will be 81 out of 360 degrees, represent the women who chose plain. So just multiply that by the total number of women, which is 600. So 81 degrees over 360 degrees times 600, 135 women. So 135 women chose plain chocolate. Zalika thinks that more men than women like milk chocolate. Is Zalika correct? If you are just only looking at the pie charts and compare the pie charts by themselves, it seems that Zalika is correct. But remember that pie charts represent only proportions or percentages. So you cannot compare the percentages. You have to use the number, the total number of men and women to know how many men and how many women is represented by each sector. So let's find the number of men choosing milk chocolate. So in the sector, we have 135 degrees for men choosing milk chocolate. So 135 divided by 360 times a total of 480 men, that's 180 men choosing milk chocolate. For women, the angle is 120, so this proportion is 120 over 360. Multiply that by 600 women, and we see that 200 women chose milk chocolate. So no, Zalika is not correct because only 180 men chooses milk chocolate, while 200 women, there are more women who chose milk chocolate. Now, the caramel sector for men and women is of the same size. Without doing any calculation, explain how you know that more women than men chose caramel. So these are the blue ones, or the caramel. Yes, they have the same size in the sector, but again, these are just proportion. The same proportion, but not the same number of men and women, because the total number of men is not the same as the total number of women. So in here, more women participated or chose caramel because most women participated. So if you get for example, 10% of 600 will be bigger than 10% of 480. So in the same analogy, you will see that even if they have the same sector size, if there are more women, then you will get more women choosing caramel. Try this problem on your own. Pause this video and come back when you are done to check your work. Check your work. So the pie chart show the favorite sports of the students in two schools. There are 1,600 students in Pembroke School. There are 1,100 students in Milford School. Which school had the larger number of students choosing tennis as their favorite sports? Now, we are asked here larger number of students. So, in the pie charts, we are shown the percentages. So, we don't need to find the proportions anymore because the proportions is already given. The percentages is already given. So, if you see the tennis is the blue portion, which is 10% in Pembroke and 14% in Milford. Now, how many students? So, it's not asking what proportion of students, how many students. To get the number of students, you multiply the proportion times the total. So, the proportion in Pembroke School is 10% with a total of 1,600 students. So 10% of 1,600 students is 0.10 times 1,600 or 160 students. In Milford School, the portion is 14% of the total 1,100 students. So you multiply 0.14 times 1,100, that you get 154 students. So, which is the larger number of students? That will be in Pembroke School.